Welcome, focused learners, to a brand new explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're taking a deep dive into the hidden and, frankly, super fascinating world of academic integrity. You know the drill. You spend hours, days, sometimes literally weeks crafting an assignment, right? Pouring your absolute best effort into every single sentence. But have you ever stopped to think about what actually happens in the background when you hand that work in? Well, today, we're pulling back the curtain. We're going to examine the invisible eye that evaluates your submissions and talk about how you can navigate this landscape with absolute confidence.
Think about that mundane, everyday act for a second. You log into your college portal, find your course, attach your carefully saved document, and you click Submit. You probably breathe this massive sigh of relief, close your laptop, and think, okay, job completely done. But for the university's digital infrastructure, the work is literally just beginning. What exactly happens after you click that button? Because you aren't just dropping a file into your professor's digital inbox to sit there passively. No way. You're initiating something much, much bigger and way more complex.
Okay, let's dive into this. That single click, it triggers a high-speed digital audit. In just a matter of seconds, your work is scanned, it's analyzed, and it is cross-referenced against literally billions of data points. It's a massive, incredibly fast evaluation process, and it happens completely out of sight. Basically, it's an automated evaluation designed to check the integrity of your work before human eyes ever even read your introduction. All right, Section 1, the silent digital monitor.
Thousands. That is how many dollars schools invest annually into this monitoring technology. I mean, think about it. This is an invisible, ever-present system actively watching and evaluating every single submission that comes through the portal. Now, as a student, it is so easy to feel like the institution just doesn't trust you, right? Like you're being treated with suspicion right out of the gate. But it is absolutely crucial to understand that this massive financial investment, it isn't born out of mistrust. It's about maintaining a level playing field for everyone. By ensuring that every piece of work is authentic, universities are actively protecting the value of the degree you're working so hard to earn. Because if anyone could just easily fake their way to graduation, well, that diploma hanging on your future wall would mean a whole lot less.
The tools of this trade are heavy-duty platforms. We're talking about systems like Turnitin and SafeAssign. These specific software programs act as the absolute digital gatekeepers for academic institutions worldwide. They're the silent monitors standing firmly between your submission and your professor's grading rubric.
Moving on to Section 2, how the software works.
Let's pull back the curtain on this massive institutional investment to see exactly how they know what they know about your writing. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how intimately tied these systems are to you, the individual learner. Universities pay significant licensing fees to access these platforms, and these fees, they're very often calculated on a strict per-student basis. That means the university is paying a specific price just to ensure that your specific submissions are audited. It's a highly targeted, highly personalized web of technology. They're literally paying by the head to make sure the digital net catches everything.
Up next, Section 3, Two Faces of Plagiarism.
Because when that software inevitably flags a paper, it's not always catching the exact same type of offense. Despite this incredibly high-tech net, what they actually catch on a daily basis might totally surprise you. On one side, we have intentional heists, and on the other, unintentional mistakes. Now, you might picture sophisticated cheating rings, paid essay writers, or blatant copy-pasting as the primary culprits, but the reality is actually quite different. The vast majority of the flags triggered by these systems, they aren't for high-level deliberate deception. Instead, they're mostly unintentional mistakes. Think improper citations, accidentally duplicated phrases, or just a complete misunderstanding of how to properly paraphrase a source. But remember, the software catches it all equally. It doesn't measure your intent, it only measures similarity.
Now let's look at Section 4, the high stakes of matches.
You know, it's perfectly natural to feel a bit of anxiety about these digital audits, and we really need to take a second to talk about why that anxiety is entirely valid. The consequences of a match go way beyond the four walls of a classroom. It forms a rather terrifying timeline. It starts small. Maybe a high similarity score or a confirmed AI flag gets you a bad grade on a single, isolated assignment, but it frequently doesn't stop there. That initial flag can quickly escalate into a permanent mark on your academic record. And here is where it gets truly serious. Out in the professional world, we have seen actual degrees rescinded and established careers abruptly ended because of academic integrity issues that were discovered years after the fact. A single lapse in judgment today can literally detonate your professional life a decade from now.
So, the crucial point is this. The software never forgets. That database is permanent.
Every paper, every essay, every single forum post you submit is stored securely and continually cross-referenced against future submissions from students all over the world. When you hit submit, you are contributing your words to a permanent, unblinking archive.
Which brings us to Section 5, your research roadmap.
But hey, do not let that permanence paralyze you. This is where we shift the energy from anxiety to total empowerment, because there's a highly effective, proactive solution to protect yourself and your work. Imagine for a second that your professor calls you into their office. They sit you down, look closely at their monitor, and question the authorship of your latest paper because the system threw a flag. In that highly stressful moment, your word alone isn't going to cut it. You need a research roadmap. This is your undeniable paper trail of original thought. It's the meticulously documented evidence of your intellectual journey from a completely blank page to a finished submission.
Let's move to and see how this builds. To robustly defend your work, you need specific physical items. First up, a fishbone diagram, basically a visual map of your initial brainstorming process. Second, 3 early outlines demonstrating how your core argument evolved over time. And third, a thick folder full of annotated sources proving you actually did the reading. When you can physically produce these items, you completely neutralize any suspicion. You're showing the exact, verifiable steps you took to reach your final product.
And finally, Section 6, owning your academic voice.
Because creating this roadmap isn't just about covering your tracks or preparing for an interrogation, right? It's about connecting with the very core of higher education. And this brilliantly illustrates that ultimately, when you can walk into a meeting with your outlines and your annotated sources, you aren't just defending yourself against a soulless software flag. You are actively demonstrating the habits of a true scholar. Academic integrity isn't merely about achieving a low similarity score on a digital platform like Turnitin. It's fundamentally about the integrity of your process. It's about proving that you know how to think critically, how to research thoroughly, and how to synthesize complex information honestly.
So, the next time you sit down to write, use the tools of the trade to your absolute advantage. Keep your research roadmap meticulously organized as you go. Really own your unique academic voice. And right before you hit that submit button to trigger the invisible eye, ask yourself this one final crucial question. Can you defend every single word? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay focused, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.